our lovely spooky friends that have decided to join us tonight. We're the Scary-ish podcast, and we're here with our Storytime episode to read you your homegrown horrors that you've sent us. And those are stories and experiences that you've experienced, paranormal, whatever.
Whatever, exactly. So if you guys have had anything spiritual like that happen to you, or bizarre, or have had a story told you that you just want to share, or something that you just want to talk to someone about and you don't want shared on the podcast, you can reach out to us. You can email storytime@scarish.com. You can also go to facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Please like the page if you go there. And then you can message us directly if you would like. You can also join the Scary-ish Spooky Friends group. Post it there for some instant feedback. That's always fun. And then if you want to join our Discord, please do that. Scarish.com. Scroll down, right-hand side, there's a link that says join us on Discord. Click that. You will be on our Discord in no time. You can also talk to us on Instagram. So many of you guys talk to us on Instagram. There's a lot of you.
Yeah,
we get more stories there than I think anywhere else at this point.
Really?
Maybe emails are still number one. But that is at Scarish Podcast. And if you want to tweet at us, it's at Scarish Pod. Only 280 characters with the Twitters. So I don't exactly recommend it, but it's always fun to interact with you fine folks. So, however, how you want to do it.
I'm Robin Grace, and this is Adam Diaz.
Oh, yeah, those are our names.
Yeah, we're here to read.
I'm excited. We're not going to start out with typical emails per se. We have a couple of things that were mailed to us like around the same time that aren't exactly like spooky stories. They're just shout outs or comments, and we don't want to ignore anyone that sent us anything, so we're going to read those. They're relatively short, and then we're going to get to the spooky stuff, correct?
Cool.
So I think you're going to wind up going first. Before we get to that, I do want to thank everyone, since it is November, this is the first time we've streamed in November, who has resubscribed to us on Twitch. Thank you so much. We do appreciate that. If you guys are subscribing through Amazon Prime, it is 100% free for you. So if you have Amazon Prime and you're listening to this right now and you're like, oh my God, I can give them $5 dues for free, please do that. Go to twitch.tv/scarishpodcast, click subscribe. You get one free per month from Amazon Prime. So if you guys want to do that, cool. And for those of you who have already done that, I'm going to roll your alert because you deserve to be recognized because we really appreciate it. So I think there was 4 while we were doing the countdown, and it doesn't pop up on the countdown screen. But in the meantime, Robin, I have my short email ready to go. So I know I said you can go first, but do you want me to go first?
No, I go first. I already have it up.
Go for it.
All right. So this one goes a little like these. So this is from Taylor, and it goes, all right, so the first part of this email isn't my story, just some little bits of fun that I've tried to remember. Firstly, I was listening to your episode on Alcatraz, and I loved it. Alcatraz is one of my favorite places. We need to go there.
We do.
Not because of all the death, obviously.
You never know.
But just the general history. If you're ever interested, you guys should read the Nicholas Flamel books.
We keep hearing about these fucking books.
I've already read them.
Have you?
Yes.
Oh, no, I keep hearing about the Dresden Files. That's what I keep hearing about.
Yes. Yeah, I have read the Nicholas Flamel books, and they are so good.
She's so excited. She shares an interest with someone.
I think the first one's like called The Alchemist or something, maybe.
I mean, it is
I own them all
Flamel.
in hardback. Like, I love them. They're so good. It's just like, it's kind of like young adult books.
Okay.
But they're just so fun to read, and they have cool things about, have different not characters, they're like entities in history. So it has like Anubis in it. It talks about Idrisil, the tree.
Idris Elba, I fucking love him. You mean the Tree of Life,
The Tree
right?
of Life.
He is the Tree of Life.
And stuff like that. So it's really cool book. You guys should go read them. They're really short in comparison to other books that I've read, like Game of Thrones.
I always feel weird going into the young adult section because there's so many weird looking books. I shouldn't say weird looking. You just see the covers. You're like, I'm 33. I probably shouldn't be reading these.
That bookshelf, like right next to you, is like literally
all young adult. That's our young adult section right there. It has all these comic books that are still waiting to be read. It's very sad. We apologize to anyone who loves comics because we are not doing our due diligence in keeping up with it. I read most of my comic books on Instagram at this point because I follow so many fucking comic book accounts. 100% true.
All right.
Let's get back to this thing that was supposed to be super quick.
So in book 3 of the Nicholas Flamel books, the man that you mentioned, the Manuel Diaz guy, is actually a really influential character that they use. He's basically watching over Alcatraz in his afterlife. It's really cool. It is really cool. You guys really need to look into that series.
Clearly.
Also, I took a road trip to Alabama yesterday from Florida. And
As in yesterday being 2.5 months ago at this point.
Yeah. Oh, no, more than that now.
Whoops.
Like 3 months.
No. It's okay. Keep going.
Okay. Shit. And as always, I listen to your podcast anytime I drive. I was driving through Birmingham when the terrifying the Sloss Furnace episode.
Okay, right on.
Came out.
That was a good episode.
I almost choked on my coffee realizing I was driving where the story took place.
That is creepy.
That is awesome.
Coincidence? I think not.
This email became much longer than intended, and I've run out of time to type. So I'll send my creepy ass stories later. Keep on creeping on, and I love you all.
Aw, thank you so much. We appreciate that. We really do. I look over out of the corner of my eye into the stream chat, and I see someone saying, Adam looking like a creep in the young adult section. That is my biggest fear. That people are going to be like, what is that dude doing buying that book? And I'm like, bitch, it's the Hunger Games. I can't wait for the next one to come out. I bought that series when it first came out. When the second one came out.
I've never read the Hunger Games
They
series.
are really good. They're fast reads, too, so they work.
I mean, I've read a lot of young adult. I've read, like, all the Vampire Academy books, like the whole Blue Blood series. I used to work in a bookstore.
So that makes it okay.
So, I mean, it doesn't make it necessarily okay, but I read a lot of young adult books. I think they're really fun. They're good to read.
I agree.
And,
I think it's a
Harry
good
Potter,
audience, too.
hello.
Yeah, I think it's a great audience to reach out to.
Twilight.
It's fun reading adult fantasy as well, and I don't mean like the fun adult fantasy. I mean like the George R.R. Martin type shit. But it's also kind of super depressing, so sometimes it doesn't hurt to take a break and go back to young adult.
Yeah.
So, right on. I'm going to move on to my next one, which is the shorter thing. It's not a story. This one is from Ruby, and it starts out like this. Just finished listening to episode 37, and I would like to say my fiance is an identical twin. That was the twin episode where we talked about twinning stuff. Crazy fact, he was actually supposed to be a triplet, but when his mother was pregnant, she had a miscarriage and thought she was only pregnant with that one.
Whoa.
But then she found out she was still pregnant and with twins.
That's so
It's like a double
crazy.
blessing after something really terrible happens.
Okay.
One thing I found funny and crazy was that they both began to date women that had the same last name.
Shut up.
Though I am not related to that girl. A year later, that were both a year older than them. So they have the same last name and they're both a year older than them. And they're not related. When I dated my fiance back in high school, in parentheses, we dated in high school and reconnected 6 years later and got engaged a year later.
That's really
That's
cool.
super sweet. If you love something, set it free. And if it comes back to you, engage it in a year. His twin dated a girl with the same birthday as mine. So yeah, that is weird that stuff overlaps like that. Because it's weird because it doesn't always happen with just brothers and sisters. It happens so frequently when it's twins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, it could happen with siblings all the time, but when it happens with twins, it just seems even like odder, like more of a coincidence. I think
that happens with siblings very often. Where
I don't
it's
think
like
it does
the
either.
exact same things.
I think a lot of times with siblings, you're trying to differentiate yourself, like become your own person.
Right.
And when you're twins, like you are really honored by the similarities you share sometimes. I think it depends on the set of twins, really.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think lots of twins are like, I don't want to be like you. I don't want to be exactly the same.
That's I think how brothers and sisters are when they're born with like age gaps between the two of them. But I don't know. I want to give a quick shout out to Zwazzles, who's donated 1,000 bits. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. We love you. And shout out to Tani Rounds, who has subscribed over on YouTube. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
All right. This is an email, and I'm just gonna get into it.
Okay, cool. Let's get this started.
Okay, so hi, Robin and Adam. Hello.
Hello, I was drinking coffee. Sorry about that.
Get your shit together.
I'm sorry. You were taking so long to
like,
get started.
Why aren't you doing the intro? Can't you do that? And then I'm reading it and you're like, oh, sorry, I wasn't even paying attention.
Do you need to go to the bathroom? Do you need to poop? Because right now you're full of shit. Please keep reading.
I binged through every episode and caught up. Now I wait for every new episode in anticipation.
Oh, that's nice.
Love listening to you guys, and honestly, I haven't been able to find any other podcast that keeps me as entertained as yours.
Entertained?
Instantly
entertained.
That's just my mouth not working. It's perfect. Thank you so much. That's very sweet.
That is really nice of you to say. That makes me feel really
we're
nice.
far from it, but that's very flattering.
I was checking out the iTunes today and checking out the reviews. We're at 102 total. And we gained more 5 stars. So
yay!
Thank you guys so much for leaving reviews and leaving ratings. We really do appreciate that.
You both make me laugh a lot.
Aww.
I'm the same age as Adam and get pretty much every movie / pop culture reference.
Fuck yes.
And cringe / giggle when Robin doesn't know because of the age difference.
It's not that big of an age gap either. It's so frustrating.
It's only like 4 years.
4 years. It's 4 years.
But that's like a whole high school
experience. I know.
Yeah.
You were an 8th grader when I was a senior, right? You were class of 2006, 7?
Yeah, it's creepy.
2006?
7.
Okay, I was 03. 03 was the best.
Yeah, just it's weird because like imagine being in a senior in high school and being like, "Whoa, guys, check that 8th grader!
Check out this 8th grader!
Check the prepubescence on that one."
That's super fucking creepy when you put it that way. I didn't meet her until she was like 24, so I don't want to hear shit from anyone.
Okay, So I don't feel old, but sometimes Ghostbusters is possibly the best.
It's true.
Hashtag don't cross the streams.
Exactly.
Into my...
I'm debating about sharing a story. You know, I'm just going to go ahead and share it because I'm pretty open with you guys. I had many a drunken night in college, and I have many a drunken friends, and just sober friends too. But yeah, sometimes we'd all go outside and have a pee break together, and sometimes you pee in the same direction, and as soon as that happens, everyone starts yelling, like, don't cross the streams, and then you all pee on each other's pee. And it's fun. It's stupid stuff that... I don't know, stupid guys do when they
Girls
pee.
don't do that.
Or you write your name in the snow when you pee. And my name is 4 letters long, so I usually used to win. So, fun stuff. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah, okay.
It's harder for you guys to aim. Crossing the streams with 4 girls is going to be like an impressive feat. So, just saying.
All right. So, into my not-so-scary story. My mom and dad honeymooned in Hawaii in 1984. Even though my mom was warned by locals not to take the black sand, I know where this is going.
Oh, God.
Not to take the black sand off the beach. I remember the early episode with Armando, and he talks about not taking lava rocks.
This is like the 3rd time in the last 5 days we've heard people talk about the Armando episode because there's a lot of Mondo fans out there. We need to get him back on the show.
You got to tell him. You got to text him and
I
be
do.
like, hey.
He's in our fantasy football league. I think I play him in like 2 weeks. So... I'll tell him like he needs to forfeit the game to me or else I'll never let him back on the show.
Yeah, he's going to be like, I don't give a fuck.
He'll still wreck my fucking face.
She insisted and packed herself a small vial that she took home with her of the black sand. And they lived in SoCal, and I was born there in 85. Whatever house we were in, the water heater would break. My dad swears it happened when I was an infant, but I don't remember. We moved from SoCal to the Midwest when I was really young and lived in Highland Park, Illinois.
Wow, I know exactly where they lived. Yeah, I know exactly where Highland Park is.
Where is it?
It's near Chicago. It's nearby where I grew up.
The first house we lived in, the water heater blew, and the box next to it had the black sand in it.
What the fuck?
When we moved to another home in Illinois, it happened the same way. This was less than a 3-year span.
Wow.
Then we moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana. No joke, the same thing happened, and the box with the black sand was again right next to the water heater. This time, the basement flooded and made a huge mess. And still, my mother, a stubborn Chicana...
She's like, I'm not getting rid of that sand. I'm just talking like my cousins talk.
It's hereditary. I am the same way. And she refused to get rid of the sand. We moved back to SoCal when I was 10. And I know you can guess what was in the box placed next to the water heater. The friggin' black sand.
So I have a question. When you take something like that, which I would never do, but for those of you out there who are dumb and have, do you throw it away or do you return it?
You send it back.
Do you just ship it back?
So
like, to Hawaii, care of Hawaii.
Well, you send it back to where a lot of people send it back to the hotel they stayed in.
Okay.
So they send it back to the hotel with a letter that like apologizes for taking it or whatever. Or
have you ever experienced that being sent back?
Not at the hotel I stayed at. I don't know. Or that I worked at. Sorry. Okay. No. Or they'll send it to the like tourist, what is it called? Like a park or something. Yeah. But they just mail it back and they mail it with a letter that says, we're sorry we took it.
It's pretty lazy, but it's also relatively inexpensive compared to flying back to Hawaii.
Well, imagine throwing it away and then you can never fix it and you're riddled with bad luck forever.
Could you plant it on someone else to give them your bad luck?
This isn't that movie with the button.
What?
Drag Me to Hell?
Never seen it.
Oh, we gotta get on
Obviously,
that.
Yep. It's because the title spoils the ending.
So, in California, there are no basements and the water heater was in our garage. So the flooding ruined so much stuff. Mainly my dad's record collection. That sucks.
That really sucks.
Water sucks.
I fucking knew you were gonna go there.
Oh my god, it's perfect because water ruined everything.
I got it. Totally got it.
Okay. He was absolutely furious, but my mother was still not convinced that the sand was cursed.
How are you not convinced? You took sand and the sand is bringing the ocean into your house repeatedly.
Water heaters are expensive.
Yeah,
How can you have so many wrecked water heaters?
Floods are expensive too. Like when you get shit that's water damaged, it's just ruined. Like that's the end of it. The only thing that you can't like have that gets damaged from like a flood is like pool equipment. You know what I mean? And some of that shit even gets ruined. Like if you go downstairs and your floaties are floating, you're gonna be like, well, at least those work, you know, and everything else is fucking ruined. Just saying.
I've never had a basement to flood. Yeah.
One day.
So
you'll get to experience it. Yeah, it sucks.
Okay. Okay. So when we all vacationed, oh, hold on. Hip, hip, deep, deep. Rewind.
Wow. Remix, and there goes. Yeah.
Zenyatta died. Okay, I'll fix it in a
Zenyatta
second.
just fell over.
So the water heater was replaced and the mess cleaned up. The box was placed next to the water softener. After the softener exploded and more items were ruined, my dad had had enough and the sand was finally removed from the house. I have no idea how they disposed of it or where they put it, but that was in 1996-ish, and they've been water heater safe since.
Wow, that's good.
When we all vacationed in Hawaii in 2015, I made damn sure my mom didn't take any contraband back home with her. Just stick with the macadamia nuts, like the chocolate-covered macadamia nuts.
Coffee, maybe. Some Kona coffee.
Yeah, Kona coffee. It's pretty safe. That's about it.
You don't need to take like the ashes of spirits of the island. Just leave those there.
Thanks for letting me share. Love the podcast, and I can't wait to hear more. I included a pic of my Oma baby, Archie Poo. He's a wackadoo who loves to bark at nothing. At least I hope it's nothing. Keep on creeping on. Sarah!
Thank you for sending that in.
That's Sarah, the one that we hung out with.
Is that the one who made the scariest ears?
Yeah.
Wow, perfect timing.
Thank you so much.
I wish we would have read this right before we went and not right after we went.
That would have been cool.
But, you know, it should happen. So that's a really good story.
Yeah, it's a really good story.
So good stuff. I really enjoyed that one because I don't know. I'm not the type of person who's going to take something that I've been told, like, if you take this, you'll be haunted. Typically, I leave that shit well enough alone. So it's always nice to hear stories about what happens to people who actually do take it. So I'm going to move on to my first proper story of the evening, or if you're listening to this during the daytime, of whenever the fuck you're listening to it.
Jangmi says, fight me in 72 years.
Wow. Deal. I'll be 105. 72, she said?
Yeah.
Yep,
in
105.
72 years, yep.
Cool. And it starts out like this. The subject is someone/something grabbed my foot. Feel free to share. So cool. Hi, Robin and Adam.
Hello.
Hello. Like many people, I also found the podcast on Spotify. Shout out to Spotify. When we met someone this past week, they were like, oh, yeah, we started listening to you guys on Spotify. Shout out to Spotify. I was like, fuck, so I clearly say that way too much. It was
so cute. This weekend was probably one of the funner weekends we've had traveling.
It was probably one of the funnest weekends I've ever had, to be honest with you.
You're a liar.
No, dead serious. Like, I told Robin that I enjoyed going to Disneyland and meeting you folks more than I enjoyed BlizzCon this year. That's not a shot at BlizzCon either.
So you were saying this past weekend was more fun than us going to the IPL Dice Show the first time we ever hung out?
No, that was like the first time we ever hung out. That's super special. So that will never be replaced. But I'm saying that this was incredibly fun. Probably my favorite Disney trip I've ever taken. So I'm going to get back to this email before I start crying because I just love you guys so much. I've been enjoying it very much. I started at the beginning and have been binge listening at work. First, let me say that I am super skeptical about supernatural things and can usually find a reasonable explanation for most things. Samesies. That being said, this is something that happened to me when I was 7 or 8. At the time, we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, and my sister and I shared a room. We each had a lofted bunk bed, and in parentheses, the top bunk only, with a desk and a chair underneath instead of a bottom bunk. That's super smart, because then each kid gets their own little, small office. My bed was on the wall opposite the door, so I could see the entire room and into the hallway when the door was open from my bed. I don't like where this is heading. Wow,
there's a lot going on.
Yeah, this is long. One night, neither my sister or I wanted to go to sleep, so she came over and laid in my bed, and we talked. While we were talking, my foot dropped down into the small space between the bed and the wall. I let it dangle there and was slowly swinging it back and forth. Fuck. All of a sudden, I felt a hand grab my foot and ankle. It wasn't a blanket, as I could feel the individual fingers, and it felt like skin. Also,
it felt like skin.
Also, there was no blanket, in parentheses, or anything else hanging down in that space.
Nope.
I immediately pulled my foot up, but didn't immediately freak out. Wow, that's impressive.
That's brave.
I would have been crying and screaming and been shoving my brother out of the bed kill it! Even at 7, I thought there must be a rational explanation, and it was probably my dad playing a joke. I thought he would come out from under the bed and tell us to stop talking and go to sleep, but no one came out.
Oh, no.
I looked down through the crack where my foot had been, but I couldn't see anything.
Oh,
I asked my sister to look over the other edge because she could see all the way underneath, but she said there was no one there.
Shut up.
Since my bed was on the wall opposite the door, there was no way that anyone could have left our room without me seeing them. They could, in parentheses, they could have come in without me seeing because I was laying down and not paying attention to the door, but after I felt my foot grabbed, I sat up and would have been able to see someone leave the room.
Oh my God.
I got scared and called out to my parents. They both came to the door and said they were in the living room the whole time.
No.
And neither had come into our room. They turned on the lights and looked under my
no.
bed, but didn't see anything either. There was nothing hanging down between the bed and wall that my foot might have gotten tangled up in. I was scared enough about it that even if it had been my dad and he somehow had managed to sneak off out of the room without me seeing, he would have fessed up rather than let me continue to be scared. In parentheses, he liked to play jokes but was never mean about them. That's solid. I totally understand that. Nothing else creepy ever happened in that apartment, and to this day, both my parents swear it wasn't them, so I have no idea who or what grabbed my foot, but I never, ever hang my foot off the side of the bed. Every single person listening to this is going to think of this the next time they put their foot off the side of the bed.
Just the other day, I was like, the dog was taking up so much space, I was thinking, I'll just put my leg off to the side. And then I was thinking about it, and the longer I thought about it, I was like, no, I need to pull my foot up right now.
That's so funny. You can share this on the podcast if you like. Thanks, and looking forward to more episodes, Kristen. P.S. My friend is getting married at the Stanley Hotel next week. I'll let you know if any ghosts attend. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I was telling Robin when we were in Disneyland, and we were talking about the Disneyland thing. I think I might have actually said this the previous episode that just came out. But how many times you might walk past a ghost and not realize that that's a ghost? Because there's so many people around, so you wouldn't even know. Yeah. Just saying. Like, you could be on the dance floor, and there could be another couple dancing, and then you could just step right through them, and they're gone. So, just saying. Great story. Thank you for sending that in. I will think about that every time I put my foot off the side of the bed from now on. So, I really think sometimes that like, paranormal entities mess with children because they're smart enough to know no one will believe a fucking kid if you tell them something happened. You know what I mean? Like, I really think that that's the case. Like, if I turn into a ghost and I'm bored and I have all of eternity to play jokes, but I don't want to be too vicious, I mean, I'm probably going to mess with kids.
I scared Adam yesterday.
She's a bitch. She hid behind the door for no reason. She was like, "Bleh." Everything was dark, and I was walking through the darkness, and I was like, where did she go? And she pulled that shit, and I was like, you have started a war that you are not prepared to be in. Like, you can't even imagine the things that I'm going to do.
But now you can't scare me because I fall down the stairs all the time. What if I die?
I'm not going to scare you on the stairs. I'll find other ways to scare you. Yeah, cannot fucking wait. It's going to be good. So maybe I'll record it. Maybe I'll put it on our scarish social media. You never know.
So my story goes. The title of this email is Shadow Figure Fun.
I like this one already.
Sounds like bullshit.
It sounds like it's not going to...
No, sounds like it's just going to be a bunch of fear that I don't want.
Yeah, this doesn't sound like fun, but let's see what happens.
Hey, spooky friends.
Hello.
Hello.
You guys all say hello now, too. Yell wherever you are at the top of your lungs. Hello.
Everyone has to raise their hands like this.
You don't have to spirit bomb this. Just a hello will do.
Why not?
Okay, everyone raise your hands like Robin's doing, since most of you are listening and can't see what she's doing and she won't describe it.
Dude, if we just have a picture chain of everyone fucking holding their hands up like a spirit bomb, oh my God.
Hashtag.
I'd be so excited.
Hashtag hello spirit bomb. There you go.
Oh,
if you want to
man.
take a picture of you guys with your arms up, and I don't know how you can pull that off if you're taking a selfie because you're using both your arms, but that's your hashtag so we can see it. So, fun.
All right, so... Hello, spooky friends. I am a pretty new listener from Spotify and love the podcast. You guys always make me laugh, and I love your positivity. I always love listening at work and in car rides home, and I love being able to agree with y'all on the stories I hear. Fuck that shit.
Wow.
Anywho, I wanted to share something my husband experienced a few weeks ago. I'll preface this by saying he works night shifts during the week, 4 a.m. to 2 a.m., What?
Probably 4 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Or 4 p.m. to 2 a.m.
That could work too.
4
Yeah,
p.m.
that
to
makes
2
more
a.m.
sense.
And I work days, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you guessed it, we never see each other during the week. That sucks. Dude, I remember when you were like getting up and going to work before I was, and then it was like...
I was getting up at like 3:30 or 4 a.m. I started work, and they told us during training, like, hey, everyone has to take a 50-question test, and whoever does the best gets first bid on the schedules when they come up for the newbies. And so I was like, I'm acing that fucking test. I got a 49 out of 50, missed one question, got the best score in the class. The bids came out, we all put in, and then they came back and they're like, we've decided, this should have been a signal for me that this job wasn't going to go well. They're like, we've decided that instead of doing it that way, we're just going to put you guys wherever we need you based off of what team you're on. And so I went from I went from having like the choicest pick of schedules to 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's what I got scheduled. So I would get up and go to work, and the fucking moon would be out, and I'd be driving in with my headlights on. I was like, this is horseshit.
So you aced the test at work to get your schedule, but you still don't have a new license yet?
What?
You aced the test to get your choice of schedule.
Yes.
But you still don't have a new license?
What do you mean new license?
The new driver's license?
I still don't have it. That was 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Why are you bringing the license up?
Because you can't pass the exam on the first try.
What are you talking about?
For the driver's license.
Okay, cool. Thank you for bringing this up. This has been horribly embarrassing. Yes, I get 39 out of 50 on the driver's license things because I don't study. So good fun times, Robin. Thank you one more time. I drive with a license from Arizona because I'm a moron. You feel better now? Good. Keep going. Let me find something to talk about with you. Robin's poops take 45 minutes in the morning. Because she just gets up, sits on the toilet, and gets on her fucking phone. How do you feel now? Where's the dirty laundry? Let's air all of it out right now. You're a horrible person.
You're a horrible
Sip your coffee. I hope it's the poop coffee. We got poop coffee from Vietnam.
Yeah, we did.
It's coffee made from shit.
No, it's coffee beans that a weasel's eaten and shit out.
So I'm 100% right.
We never see each other during the week. I wish we never saw each other during the week.
I wish I never saw you at all. Fuck you.
It was shit. I can't read. My eyes are too tiny because I'm Asian. Okay.
Wow.
It was really hard for me when we first started this job because I had never lived by myself before, and I would freak myself out every night and not get enough sleep most nights.
That sucks.
I had to go to counseling for a few months because of it, and after 8 months, I'm finally getting used to it. We also finally got a puppy. Oh, that's cute. To help me with the loneliness and to help keep my mind off of worrying about intruders, ghosts, etc. And he is the best omen baby as he is a corgi and is the most cute photogenic baby.
I wish our corgi would take pictures. As soon as you point a camera at our corgi, she is gone and she shakes the whole way. So if you get a picture of her, it's just blurry.
Yeah.
She can't stand
really hard
having her
to take
picture taken.
Anywho, back to the story. Thursday night, a few weeks ago, my husband calls me from work around 10 p.m. when I go to bed, and he apologized for the night before in waking me up. You didn't wake me up. What are you talking about? I asked. I woke you up last night, he restated. I got scared and was pretty loud about it. Why were you scared? He paused and said, I got home early around 2 and went to bed around 2:30 and woke up around 3:30.
Witching hour.
Oh my God. I saw a shadow figure in the room with us and sat up and shouted.
What the fuck?
You rolled over towards me and asked, what's wrong with you? And rolled back over and went back to sleep. I looked back over in its direction and it wasn't there anymore. Of course, now that I'm fucking about to fall asleep, I yelled, why'd you tell me that?
So the husband waited until the wife's about to fall asleep
to say
be
that
like, I saw a shadow figure last night.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
I didn't sleep well for a few more nights.
Just a few?
That Saturday morning, he revealed to me that he's seen shadow figures before in his life, and I asked him if it was potentially sleep paralysis, and he said he was able to move just fine. So, no. Now I just have the fan on full speed with night lights and the radio on when I go to bed so I can see what's going on in the room at all times and so I don't freak out in the silence. Thanks for being awesome and keeping up the great work on the podcast. Keep on creeping, Lauren. Thank you so much for your
I appreciate
story.
that one, Lauren.
That's
that is
so creepy.
It's creepy
it's so
and it's
mean
hilarious.
For him to hold out till she's about to go to sleep again.
Yeah, just FYI, because you were a dick to me last night in the middle of the night when I saw my shadow figure. It's there with you now.
Oh my God.
That's a solid way to handle that. I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, technically, I guess because they don't get to meet up. You know, they meet up when one or the other is going to sleep.
Yeah.
So it's like they don't really get the chance to talk, and so he got the opportunity, and he's like, I need to tell you this.
I will say, too, if he's saying that he's seen shadow figures throughout his life, then it's probably a good thing for you to find another husband. I'm not a new one. You can just, get a second one and then just see if that one works out and then move on if you need to. I'm fucking kidding. Please don't do that. I don't condone that.
I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you right now.
Broken husband, please throw away. Not really. I would be really interested to get some of the stories from your husband, though, about his shadow figure experience, because that seems that seems like a story. It really does. So right on. So I guess I'll move on to I think this is my second of the night, my second proper story of the night. And this one's subject is astral projection and sleep paralysis.
I don't like it.
I like it so far.
I like the way you work it.
Yeah, I hate you so much. So this one starts out, no diggity.
Thank you.
In parentheses, PSA, definitely cool if you share on the podcast.
Awesome.
Cool. And it starts out like this. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hello. My name is Cody. I'm 26 and I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I just started listening to your podcast at work last week. I heard about it from a friend who discovered you on, drumroll, you guessed it, Spotify. Shout out to Spotify.
Spotify is very popular.
It is.
It's just a very easy platform to use.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't ever used to use Spotify because I thought it was only for like Spotify. I thought it was only ever for finding music, and I'm like, I'm good. And then I started using it for podcasts, and I can go from like car to phone to PC, and it just keeps my progress across all the platforms. And I can just like pause an episode somewhere, go to another location, and just hit play. And iTunes doesn't do that shit. So I used to always have to look at my phone and be like, episode 46, 52 minutes in, and then go to my next thing and then change it unless I wanted to listen off my phone. Spotify makes it so much easier. So I understand why people use Spotify for pretty much everything. So thank you for listening on Spotify.
Yeah.
Getting back to this email. I love your show so fucking much, so please never stop podcasting.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. I started from the beginning and have listened up through episode 12 so far with the Aswang. Insert inappropriate laugh. Shout out, Adam. I did it correctly that time, too, so I didn't say Aswang. I'm just going to say Asswang because you corrected me.
Okay.
Even though I was trying. So this story happened to me in late 2015. I was working overnight, so my sleep schedule was weird because my wife's job all the time was at home as a nanny. So it wasn't the easiest to sleep with kids running around, but I slept where I could. In parentheses, the sleep schedule is important later. At this time in my life, I was really interested in spiritual practices such as meditation and using different stones pertinent to the 7 chakras and the visualization of yourself as energy. I've heard about the energy thing before. And we've heard about chakras before, too. In parentheses, the same practices are used for those who try to make small objects move with their minds as an extension of themselves, or opening your third eye, etc. Okay, so this is going to get trippy.
I like opening up your third eye.
Wow, that's weird and creepy and cool with me. Anyway,
your whispering eye.
Your whispering eye. Anyway, sorry for all the side notes. That's okay. I do it constantly. So my interest was specifically astral projection, which correlates heavily with lucid dreaming, and I had been practicing for months and never really gotten results. So, and in parentheses, and this is where I made my mistake, little did I know. One night, while staying the weekend at my dad's house, I decided to watch a video on YouTube that would help people who are stuck not getting anywhere with astral projection, no matter how hard they would try, and the video was talking about the art of listening as a means to clear your mind. And as I'm listening to the video, I was able to do so, and the speaker starts to recap the steps on how to successfully project your soul, and I know this may sound fucking crazy as shit, in parentheses, feel free to skepticize. I just made my skeptic look to the camera, so I'll keep going. But as I'm listening to the steps, I naturally start to perform each step. And it was weird because I actually sat up from the couch I was laying on, but the moment I looked around the living room, it was so dark, and I immediately realized that it was strange because the lights were still on, and my wife was still in the room with my physical body.
Shut
and
up.
Now there was no light, and my wife was no longer on the couch with me. As me being a skeptical, I'm going to say, maybe you just fell asleep and you were dreaming. Because you were so into astral projection, your dream just instantly became the room that you were in. But I will continue with your story, keep my skeptic hat on and my grain of salt, but I'm not going to shit all over you. So I'm going to keep going. Not like that coffee that we got. I start noticing 3 separate humanistic figures that looked like they were made of white light, and it was weird because 2 of them seemed peaceful, like they meant no harm to me.
And then the other one isn't?
Which doesn't surprise me because through all the things I had read about astral projection, it mentions in multiple sources that you may find other, quote, travelers who are just other people also projecting. But the third entity was the furthest away, and it felt malicious. I can't really explain it, but the feeling was uneasy, like somehow the third figure wanted to hurt me or just didn't want me there. Then I saw it moving towards me very slowly, and I knew I had to nope the fuck out of there.
No.
When I turned around, I could literally see myself on the couch, and I know at this point I probably sound even crazier, kind of. But believe me when I say that I was fully aware when this all went down, and what I saw was very real. I feel like it was an innate sense that when I saw myself, I laid back down into my body in the same position and immediately came to, gasping for air and literally in tears, and scared my wife awake. Holy shit.
Wow.
I told her about it and she believed me, and also I got grounded from ever doing astral projection again, in parentheses for any guy whose wife wears the pants. You understand being grounded in your adulthood. I don't think I've ever been grounded. I've just been told, like, no. Like, that's happened.
Like what?
I don't know. Like everything that brings me joy. Which was cool because I was freaked out anyways. For the next solid month, I would try to go to sleep in the living room. I feel a stare on me right now. I would try
You're going to feel a fist on you in a second.
I would try to sleep in the living room at home during the day, and every time I would start lucid dreaming and see a dark, shadowy figure in my hallway, which was just like the one from my experience, except it wasn't white light, and I kept getting the same malicious feeling from before. The dreams kept getting worse with each day, and for the last 2 weeks of this, I would enter sleep paralysis and literally wake up after seeing this entity but not being able to move my body. Dude. When I woke up for around 15 to 20 seconds.
Followed him back through the astral plane? Like, what the fuck?
It sounds like you saw something and that something was like, ooh, like that thing saw me. I don't fucking like it. I'm going to fuck with that thing. And I don't know the rules to astral projection. So maybe he set an alarm where every time you log in and it pops up and it's like, so-and-so has logged into astral projection.
Oh, my God.
15 to 20 seconds when they woke up was paralyzed, which feels like forever when you're trying so hard to move your body but can't. I totally agree. Every time I saw the shadowy figure in my lucid dreams for the last couple weeks of this, it got a little further down my hall towards the living room where I was, and it would feel like I couldn't breathe more and more as it drew closer.
What the fuck?
For the last few days, I tried to avoid falling asleep. This is like some Freddy Krueger shit.
I have like so much anxiety right now. My heart's starting to like get like super tight.
Just imagine it. Like you're super terrified. You're trying to stay awake. And you know what happens to people who are tired that are trying to stay awake?
Fall asleep?
You fucking fall asleep. So I would still find myself dozing off, and it was worse until the last time this happened. It was standing right in front of me, and I felt like I was awake but asleep at the same time because my eyes felt open and I could see my wife and the kids, but I couldn't move or talk.
What the fuck?
And did it sit down into your body? And then your body woke up and you're writing this from the astral dimension? Because that would be a pretty fucking cool ending. I'm just saying.
Shut up.
They didn't know I was awake, so I'm just silently panicking and freaking the fuck out due to sleep paralysis and can't get anyone's attention.
Oh, man.
I couldn't breathe at all, and the figure leaned closer to me, and I struggled to move until I finally regained mobility just in time and practically jumped up yelling, and it was suddenly gone. But I definitely spooked my wife.
Dude, what the fuck?
That's super creepy. Since that day, I haven't seen that entity or practiced astral projection again. LOL. No shit, man.
Big old noops.
But I also never really talked to anyone about what I saw during that month in my lucid dreams because my wife is super freaked out by that sort of thing, and I didn't want to scare her, and I felt like anyone else would just write me off as bullshittery. But I wanted to share with you guys. I appreciate you sending that. And even though I'm skeptical, like you said, you were skeptical, like I don't want to make you feel like I don't believe you. It is just an incredible story. So I hope my grammar is okay. It's actually really good. And thank you guys so much again for listening and doing such a kick-ass podcast. I have other stories that are more ghost-like than this one if you want them in the near future. We do. Sorry this email is so long. Oh, and Robin, I grew up with The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody on TV, as well as Zaboomafoo with Chris and Martin Kratt, so I can attest to their existence. Sorry, Adam. What you did was you astral projected into a land of bullshit that Robin and her sister have created, and then you heard this song and heard the words Zaboomafoo, and then you came back and you're like, it's real.
Seriously, the kids from The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, one of them is in that new Riverdale show.
Those are the twins from Big Daddy, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's all I know them from. I've never watched The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
It was pretty sweet.
Was it?
Get it?
You. Yeah, I got it. Everyone fucking got it. Thanks, Robin.
Okay.
Right on. That was really good. Thank you for sending that in, Cody. We really
so
appreciate
much.
it. Do not be deterred by the fact that I'm just slightly skeptical, and I just wanted to go through it and think what might have been happening at the same time, because that shit is fucking crazy. That shit is bananas. BANANAS. Don't kill me. I just had to do that.
Okay, so this one's title is Ghost Hunting Not Going as Planned.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
Whoa.
Do you have some SpaghettiOs, Robin? Because they have some uh-oh. Yeah, turn that into a fucking button. Nailed that shit.
That was horrible.
That was amazing. Fudge ya.
Oh
Hashtag fudge ya.
No, you're... Just shut your mouth.
Don't touch me.
Shut your mouth. Okay, so, hello, Robin and Adam. Hello.
Hello.
My name is Jordan, and before I share my story, I would just like to say thank you so much for your guys' podcast and all that you guys do. I found your podcast on Spotify the night my boyfriend broke up with me. What a dickhead.
Fuck him. Unless you guys are back together, in which case I'm glad you guys got back together.
The night before my final exam for EMT school.
Why would you do that to someone then? That's the worst thing ever.
What an asshole. Lo and behold, I passed. Fuck him.
Nailed it.
And I just want to thank you guys for the help. Oh, that makes us very happy.
Yeah, it does. I don't think we provided any EMT information to you, so I'm glad we were able to distract you.
I'm sure it's just like distraction.
Yeah.
But we're very glad you passed your exam for EMT school and hope you can save lives one day. Now, I love ghost stories and everything scary-ish, but just like Adam, I am very skeptical and want to try to find proof of ghosts and demons. I'm good with not finding the proof, dude.
I don't mind finding someone else's findings. Like, they've proved it, and I didn't have to do anything because that's terrifying.
My friends and I love going to haunted areas and to try and see if we can find something. One night, we went down to a town called Murrieta, where there is a reported haunted mill.
This is California. I'm pretty fucking sure.
Really?
I think I've heard of this. I'm so excited to hear the story now.
How did you hear from it before?
At work, actually.
Oh,
because I used to do Southern California and Hawaii. So.
Oh, cool. It is said that there is a little girl that died there in a fire, and you can now see her at the very top of the tower at night when the moon is out.
Wow.
So there was a few of us that all got into one car. Marissa was driving. I was in the passenger seat.
Oh, Marissa, you crazy bitch.
I was in the passenger seat, and Danielle, Aisha, and Alda were in the back. When we got there, we noticed that there was no moon out that night, so it was very dark and very spooky. It was probably around midnight by the time we got there and tried to be quiet because there were so many houses next to the old building. Due to the fact that there were incidents with the homeless staying in the building and some vandalizing on the lower floor, the building became fenced off because it was private property. We looked for a way in and found a hole in the fence. The girls...
It always happens. Like, if you try and put up a fence to keep people out,
people are always going to cut holes.
I used to work at a GameStop where, like, directly in front of it was a, like, Goodwill drop-off area where you can just go up and, like, drop your stuff into it. But, like, you couldn't get in there, you know? It was, like, a locked door, and it was just, like, an entrance slot. And I watched a homeless guy walk up to it, find a corner, kick it, like he was kicking the boards on it until he broke a hole in it. He ripped off a hole big enough for his arm to go in, and he kept reaching in there and taking clothes out. And I was standing there staring at it like, if that Goodwill fucking drop-off thing represented anything it was supposed to, he would be able to get those fucking clothes without having to kick a hole in it, and that wouldn't look like a crime right now. It's like, why else do people donate shit to Goodwill and the Salvation Army except to give it to people who need it in that situation?
But then they end up selling it at their stores.
And they sell it kind of fucking expensive, too. Like, we used to shop at Goodwill, and then I was like, this is not cheap, like, at all, dude. Like, some places are and some places are not. So when I was watching that, I was like, I'm not going to fucking call anyone. I don't give a shit. That dude needs those clothes.
But, I mean, the money, I think how those work is, like, the money is supposed to go to supporting. So I guess it just kind of depends. Anyway, so the girls were scared to go in, so they stayed in the car, and I told Marissa to come with me. We both love all things supernatural.
Oh, Marissa, you crazy bitch. What? Why do you keep staring at me when I say
that?
It's fun to say.
So she came with a little persuasion. We walked through the opening of the fence, and as we got closer to the building, we looked up to the window where you would see the ghost girl and flashed our lights at the opening. Even though we didn't see the girl, we did see an owl. And right when that happened, at the end of the long, narrow street in front of the building, parked next to the trees that led to a dirt road, a car turned its lights on and turned on their brights, lighting up the darkness and blinding us. That is creepy.
It is, but it's probably another group of ghost hunters that are like, I'm not going to get snuck up on, and you just like flick your brights on, you know?
I guess. We thought it was a cop trying to catch us trespassing, but then the car started pulling out closer to us very slowly. So Marissa and I ran back to the car and started to leave. But then the car started to follow us, like riding our ass with the brights on, following us.
That's creepy.
That's super creepy. I can't even imagine.
I've caught kids TPing my house before and followed them on their bikes. It was actually not my house. It was my friend's house. We were staying the night. And the funniest thing is we came back. We were driving back to his house at like 2 a.m. because we were TPing someone's house. And we were pulling in, and there was kids TPing his house. And we're like, motherfuckers. And they got on their little bikes, and they tried to ride away, and we followed them. And this kid tried to like like jump into a ditch, but it was a deep ditch, and he fucking face planted and just ate shit so hard. And he got up and he landed in like the sticker bushes that are back in the Midwest, and he was just fucking covered in stickers.
Oh my god!
And he was just in our headlights, like terrified, like, am I going to jail? And he was like picking stickers out, and we were just laughing so hard. And I rolled down the window and I was like, hey, like, I'm proud of you for TPing, but don't TP our house, right? Like, keep it alive. And we just drove away.
What the fuck?
It's fucking just so funny.
You're so stupid.
I hadn't thought of that in a long time.
Okay, so we went into town, and by now there was no one in sight. Because we were in Old Town Marietta, which when it's nighttime there has no one in sight. And might I add that this was a fucking massive truck. We were all freaking out and didn't know what to do. Danielle, who is a nice Christian girl, was getting
Danielle,
mad.
you crazy lady.
Was getting mad and said, let's pull over. And I quote, fuck these people up.
I think Danielle's the crazy bitch. I think I've had this backwards the whole time.
So, what the fuck?
This nice Christian girl that goes, let's pull over and fuck these people up.
By now, we're going 70 miles per hour through a small deserted town trying to lose whoever is chasing us. We turned a corner and pulled over in a small parking lot, turned our lights off, and tried to hide.
And got our guns out.
Oh my God. Good call on Marissa because they drove past us and didn't spot us. That was an adrenaline rush because we were not expecting any of that. Yeah, I'm sure Danielle was just like, oh man.
Danielle's taking her fucking knives out. I'm going to cut their eyes out and send them to their family to send a message.
What's in the box?
What's in the fucking box?
But this is when I had the fun idea to do exactly what that truck did. The girls loved that idea, and so we parked near the dirt road next to some trees and turned off our lights and waited.
You tried to pay it forward in the worst possible way. Like, someone fucked with me, so I'm going to fuck with someone else. The universe owes me one.
So there is an episode I'm watching the new Sabrina series on Netflix. And there is an episode that I got to where one of the characters gets into this like loop of he is doing an autopsy on himself, and then he like goes through. I know, sorry, spoilers. And then he goes through this whole thing, and he ends up being the body on the table that's getting autopsied by himself. So it was like this really crazy loop. And I feel like this is what's going on right now, where it's like they're making a loop of this whole instance.
Where it happens to someone, so you decide to do it to someone else.
Right. It was only 15 minutes we waited, and a small car with two girls came up. Oh,
Danielle's like, let's fucking ruin these bitches.
Oh, my God. They didn't go near the gate, but just looked at the building. And this was when we, quote unquote, attacked.
Oh, my God.
We turned our brights on and pulled up slowly to the car. The girls freaked out and went back into the car and drove off. We followed them all the way to the next town, and they pulled into an Albertsons parking lot and got out of the car. We noped the fuck out and went home. Oh my God, Danielle should have just been like, well, fuck you up.
We will end you.
Jeez. Okay, so pretty much that's what you do in a small town and want a cheap thrill. You fucking chase strangers in a car, I guess. Not exactly what was planned, but still fun. I have
sounds just like wholesome, all-American fun. Just torturing other human beings.
I have actual ghost stories to share, and we'll send them in the future. But till then, thank you to the both of you, and stay spooky, Jordan.
Thank you for sending that in. That's fucking hilarious,
so
Jordan. I appreciate that one.
Hilarious.
That one's lighthearted and fancy-free, I dare say. And I wish I could have pulled some of that shit. That's smart, though. Like, you go to a local haunt, like a creepy place, and you wait for other people to show up, and then you just scare the shit out of them. And maybe, just maybe, some of the stuff that we've gotten in the past, like where creepy stuff happened to people when they showed up at a scary place, maybe that's what actually happened. So, you never know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to move into my last one for the night, and this one does not have a subject, and it just starts out like this. Yo, dogs. What's up?
Yo.
Did I spell that right? Yeah, I think you nailed it. Dawgz. That's how I would spell dogs. My name is Kelsey, and this is my second time writing into you, and I have a few more stories for you. The first few are much more lighthearted than the last. I hope you're sitting somewhere comfortable because this is going to be a long one. Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
Do you have water?
I do. Yeah, here you go. There you go. P.S. Yes, you can read these on the podcast. My grandpa on my mom's side passed away a couple years ago, and it hit us all really hard as it was very sudden. He was a healthy 76-year-old man, but he had a stroke early one morning, which triggered a brain bleed that they unfortunately couldn't go in and drain to relieve the pressure on his brain.
That sucks.
In parentheses, kind of gross, I know. Yeah, but that's just
that's
the reality of it, so
yeah.
That's okay. We have a kind of large family, and almost all of us were in his room in the ICU when he passed in his sleep. I still remember the exact time that it happened. In fact, my grandma stopped his watch at the moment he died and keeps it on display in a hutch in her house.
That is so sad.
That is super sad, man. Unless she's like, I don't know, super badass about it, where she's sad, but she covers it with humor, where like she's meeting people like, hello, it's nice to meet you. This is my house. This is my hutch. This is the watch that I stopped when my husband died.
Oh my God.
Just to, like just toss that shit on people just to see how they react. I'll keep going. I currently live in Milwaukee, but was born and raised and still lived in Iowa at the time. Shout out to all you Iowa peeps. I should note.
What are they called?
Iowans? I don't know. I really honestly don't know. Yeah, let us know. Hashtag that. Actually, just tweet us. Don't hashtag it. I should note that my sister lives in Boston and was the only one unable to make it back in time to see him before he died. She and I were talking a couple months ago, or a couple months after his funeral, and discovered we had both been having the same dream. We dreamt that the whole family was gathered at my grandparents' house, just like we did for the major holidays. All of a sudden, in walks Grandpa in his heavy camouflage coat and John Deere baseball hat, with a fishing pole and tackle box in hand, as he used to like to fish. Aww. In the dream, it was as if he had merely been on a long trip somewhere, which is funny because he rarely left the Tri-County area, and was returning from said trip while the whole family was gathered. It was heartbreaking to wake up and realize that none of it was real.
No.
But the fact that we were both having the same dream while living 1,100 miles apart was pretty weird. Yeah, I would totally agree to that. Weird. In the last 2.5 years since he died, there have been several times that he's made his presence known to us. The first was actually at his funeral.
That's really cool.
We were all at the church for his service when the hearse broke down.
What?
The funeral home had a van that they used instead and decided not to charge my grandma for it. Yeah, I think that's the right decision to make in that case. There are two theories derived by my family as to why the hearse broke down. The first is that it was a Chevy and not a Ford, and being a longtime Ford fan, he refused to ride in it to the cemetery. That is fucking awesome. Hashtag brand loyalty. The other theory is that he was merely trying to save my grandma some money. That's super romantic.
Yeah.
Bonus, my uncle thought the casket was still in the back of the hearse when the tow truck came and to tow it away. Man. Dumbass. That's so mean. The next time was several days after his funeral. We were all at my grandma's house, sitting around talking and reminiscing, and suddenly the volume on the TV skyrocketed. Now, my family is very loud, with 5 kids and their spouses and the dozen or so grandkids all talking over one another. This sounds like my family. A dozen
grandkids?
It takes a lot of noise to get us to shut up. As you can imagine, holidays are super fun because of this.
Okay.
The thing is, when Grandpa got home from the bars he frequented after work, he sat down in his chair with a beer and his dog Skippy, who was basically his best friend, and cranked up the volume on the TV so he could watch the 5 o'clock news.
That's hilarious.
Maybe the major and sudden increase in volume that afternoon was his way of getting our attention. That's what I like to think, at least. I think that's a really good way of looking at that. Especially since it's really weird when a TV turns its volume up on its own. There's an old saying that when you see a cardinal, it means a deceased loved one is watching over you. I've totally heard that before.
Really?
I think I've heard that from this podcast, in fact.
Okay.
2 years in a row now, a male and female cardinal have made a nest in the ash tree in my parents' front yard. Aww. In plain sight of the living room window.
That's really cool.
I've also seen my grandpa, or maybe they're just 2 different men that look exactly like him, which seems fishy. One of those times was just yesterday. I was back at my parents' house in Iowa and standing in the driveway with my mom when a man drove by in a van that looked just like one my grandma used to have. When I glanced at the driver through the open window, I could have sworn it was my grandpa cruising by.
Wow.
Now for the nitty-gritty stuff, which is really more of a long story about why I appreciate you guys so much. Okay, so I guess we'll strap in. I hope this isn't horrible for you. It's for deeply personal reasons, but you can still absolutely share it on the podcast because I know this is a safe place. Although you may want to issue a trigger warning for anyone who suffers from extreme depression or suicidal thoughts because this shit gets very nasty. Also, maybe don't let Robin be the one to read this on air because she'll probably cry or get choked up at the very least.
Okay. Okay, go.
So I'm reading it, so we're okay. Here we go. So anyone who has triggers like that, just be forewarned. Feel free to skip ahead if need be. I am 26, but was first diagnosed with depression when I was about 14. I was a freshman in high school who self-harmed and was chucked into therapy when my mom noticed it. That is, by the way, incredibly common. Self-harm is 100% incredibly common. Yes. I had a class in college where someone admitted to it in a short story that they were writing, and we would read them out loud in a circle. And we read one out loud, and there was this much older lady who was in the class, and kudos to her for showing up and I think she actually wound up graduating that semester too.
Oh, wow.
But she was like, after the chick got done reading it, she was criticizing her for self-harming. And our professor stopped her. She's like, just so you know, like, I'm 60 years old, and I've self-harmed since I was 14. And she said, like, she still does it. And, like, her standing up for this chick was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in person because she made this other lady just shut the hell up.
Good.
So don't feel alone. I mean, I know that doesn't really fucking help, but just know that you're not weird or abnormal because that happens, because I've known a lot of people who do that. I've known a lot of guys who do that.
I've done it.
So let's just keep going here. I'm forever grateful for it despite my mom's initial reaction. She yelled a lot when we were kids, so when she found out I was cutting, her go-to reaction was anger. I've been in therapy on and off for 12 years now, and it's been incredibly helpful in keeping me sane and alive. When it comes to antidepressants, anyone who has been on them knows that it can be very hit or miss and up and down. Sometimes a certain combination of medications can work well for years until suddenly they don't. This is 100% true. I was doing fine until May of 2017. I had moved to Milwaukee for a job a few months prior and thought I was doing quite well. I couldn't tell you what triggered it, but for some reason my depression kicked in and slowly spiraled out of control over the course of the next several months. Over the summer, I began self-harming again, and for the first time in 11 years. It progressed over the next several months until the suicidal feelings came along. Luckily, I had one friend that I felt comfortable telling. He was able to keep me off the ledge for a while, but things continued to get worse until my anxiety and depression were so bad that I left work one day and drove myself to the ER because I felt so unsafe.
Wow.
It is so powerful that you could drive yourself there.
Yeah.
That is not something people can do.
It's a lot. It takes a lot to be like, okay, I need help now.
Yeah, it's such a strong thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, I can't emphasize that enough. So be very proud of yourself for that. We're proud of you for that. I was evaluated by a social worker who gave me information on outpatient treatment and cleared me to leave because she didn't think I was a danger to myself. She was wrong.
Oh, no.
The self-harm continued and the depression worsened.
Okay.
I was so anxious that I cut back my hours at work to part-time. I was so frustrated because nothing seemed to help. The meds weren't working. The self-harm wasn't providing the usual sense of relief. It didn't produce the same high as it had been, and it simply wasn't enough. It wasn't until I nearly downed an entire bottle of clonazepam, my anti-anxiety meds. Luckily, I had enough sense in me to reach out to my sister to distract me until the feelings went away. I quickly realized that was my rock bottom.
Oh my
In
gosh,
January, I reached out to my doctor who recommended a partial hospitalization program, which is basically the same as an inpatient psychiatric stay, except you get to go home at night. You experience the same care, structure, and schedule as you would in a psych ward. We set daily goals for ourselves. This is really, really awesome of you to share this, by the way. I'm very happy you sent this in because some people go through this shit and they feel so alone, and people don't like to share this stuff. We set daily goals for ourselves to manage our anxiety, depression, alcoholism, drug addiction, or any sort of mental illness we may have had. We had expressive therapy, aka art therapy, group therapy, which, as terrible and scary as it was at first, it was actually my favorite part. We practiced coping skills and stress management and had our meds monitored and altered by in-house psychiatrists. That group of people saved me. I realized that my job was exacerbating my anxiety in every way. I learned ways to decrease my anxiety and manage my depression until I found the right cocktail of medication to keep me in line. I had the tools to keep myself sane and safe.
That's good.
It's really good. It's nice to hear when this stuff works. It really is. Because a lot of people feel like it just doesn't work. Or when things are working and things stop working, it feels like you're lost again. And just knowing that there's a path back to it, no matter how far down you can go, is so important for people to hear. In May, I finally found a new job and did really well. As soon as I left my old job, my anxiety nearly vanished.
Good.
I had a really good run for about 2 months. Then the intrusive, depressing thoughts started creeping back in. I struggled to focus at work, spending my lunch breaks crying in my car and trying to watch something funny on Hulu, usually Bob's Burgers. Y'all should check that shit out. I fucking love Bob's Burgers.
So good.
To distract me and make me laugh. I spent all the time and I slept all the time and stopped keeping up with chores around my apartment. I've been terrified of relapsing and finding myself in a very dark place, and at times it's been debilitating. Enter Scary-ish. I had been listening to paranormal and true crime podcasts while I was at work, both of which are things I love. but they got a little dark sometimes, a little intense. Then I found you guys. I get to listen to some really well-researched tales of the paranormal with dozens of comedic side stories per episode.
Sorry, we have so many side tangents.
I really worry that we're going to drive people away with our tangents sometimes. You guys are completely hilarious and have had me shaking with silent laughter in my cubicle multiple times. Side note,
oh, yay.
Adam, your voice sounds so much like Dax Shepard's. It makes everything you say that much funnier because that dude is kind of hilarious. I know exactly who Dax Shepard is. I don't know if I sound like him. I've never compared my voice to his, though. I now find myself eagerly awaiting every new episode because I know it'll give me a good laugh. I'm almost through all of your episodes and will probably be listening to them once again after I finish because I just can't get enough. Well, thank you so much. And I'm really glad that it's something that can brighten up your day because
I'm really glad we're not super obnoxious.
Yeah. We worry about that stuff.
I'm glad we're not super serious. I listen to lore and I absolutely love lore, but it's too serious for me sometimes, and I need that comedic element, so I go to My Favorite Murder because they do talk about true crime stuff, but they're both funny, and so
I'm glad we have a balance that you guys really appreciate and that you guys enjoy. So getting back to it, I'm not saying I'm completely cured. I still have depressive thoughts and continue to worry about relapsing to the dark place, but you make my workday so much better, and that's really huge for someone who has struggled with such intense depression and anxiety for as long as I have. I know you've heard it before, but your podcast is truly amazing, in parentheses, and definitely one of my faves.
We're very happy to hear that.
We are, and I can't even begin to tell you how much it means to me that you keep doing what you're doing. Please keep creeping on because it makes my life and the lives of so many others so much better. Thank you so much for being you and for doing what you do. I know we've never met, but I kind of low-key love you guys, and I think we would be great friends. I think so, too. Thank you for listening. Sincerely, your spooky friend, Kelsey. Bonus, Omen Baby, and they sent a picture of an adorable Omen Baby. This is my baby Frankie, and by baby, I mean my little old lady because she's 13, but you would never know it based on how she acts. Sometimes she looks like a supermodel, and sometimes she looks like a total derp. Also, she drools when she gets really excited. That's adorable.
It's
so fucking cute.
I hope our kids will have a pet that they grow up with and they have for years and years and years. Oh, no, but then I'm thinking of it and I'm just and then they're going to watch them die. Oh, fuck.
It's just a natural way you can learn to love something and then it eventually will go. It's a good introduction to that. But that said, thank you so much, Kelsey, for reaching out to us with that story. I know how hard that must have been to write, and I really hate the fact that we have such a long backlog because you've probably been waiting for us to get to this and thought we might have forgotten about you.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking not. Anyone who sent us anything, we're going to get to it. Don't think we're not. So thank you one more time for sending that in because that is extremely personal and it's going to be extremely important for someone to hear that. So I know you say we make your day better. You probably just made a lot of people's day better. So thank you for having the courage to send that in. We really, truly appreciate it. So one last time, I want to say thank you to everyone who sent in their emails. We really appreciate everyone that joined us in the Twitch chat, in the YouTube channel as well. That you guys are fantastic. It's so fun to interact with you during the show. And one more time, if you guys have something that you want to send to us and share with us, you can reach out to us via email, and that email address is storytime@scarish.com. You can also go to facebook.com/scarishpodcast and message us. Please like our page. You can also join the group on Facebook from that page, and it's the Scarish Spooky Friends group. If you want to post your story there, go for it. Get some instant feedback. You can also join our Discord server. Best way to do that, go to scarish.com. Scroll down on the right-hand side. It says, join us on Discord. Click that, and you will be right there. You can also talk to us on Instagram @ScarishPodcast, or you can tweet at us @ScarishPod.
And don't forget, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/ScarishPodcast. We are really close to going to the Winchester.
This is true.
We need 17 more? 17 more patrons.
I think 16. I think we got up to 34.
Oh,
so
nice.
We fluctuated a lot when Patreon hit that issue where it wasn't paying anyone out, and then it just started getting rid of patrons. So we've been kind of stuck, and it kind of sucks because it's literally as low as $1 a month. And you can force us to go to someplace spooky and see Robin's reaction and come out and hang out with us.
That's, I think, my favorite part is meeting up with everyone and just chilling, maybe having dinner. Just
Who knows?
Getting to know everyone that...
Maybe getting possessed. Maybe getting kidnapped by ghosts. Maybe getting murdered. You don't know what's going to happen at the Winchester house. So, just saying.
I just watched the BuzzFeed Unsolved where they go back to the Winchester house, and it's great. It's
cool.
Amazing. But yeah, so go there. There's Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/scarishpodcast. That any donations on that platform is going to go to helping us upgrade our studio setup, and
we are very close to being able to upgrade our camera setup, which I am desperately in need of. I mean, honestly, this works for now, and it doesn't look too bad, but I would really like to have something consistent. And this poor little GoPro Hero 4 has just been powering through so many episodes, and we appreciate it so much. And we'll probably take it with us when we go to the Winchester Mansion to capture some footage with a selfie stick. I know we're going to be those people, but hey, whatever you got to do, right? I mean, it'll be really, really fun. So if you guys want to go become patrons and donate to us on Ko-fi, we appreciate that. If you guys can't donate to us, we totally understand. Leave a review if you've already left a review. We love you so much. If you haven't left a review, that's totally okay. We understand. But they really, really do help.
Any way you guys can support us is great. It doesn't have to be by donating or whatever. Let your friends know about us. Share us.
Share the episodes. Retweet it. Share it on Facebook. Just tell a friend. Get a friend in. Like, however you can support us, we really do truly appreciate it. And if you're just one of those people who's just very shy and you can't do it, thank you for listening. We appreciate you listening, and you know what? We might not ever hear from you because you're shy, but we want you to know we care that you listen, and we really, really appreciate it.
And I'm sure, hopefully, the people that have met us
don't hate us.
Can tell you, I hope you guys don't hate us. That's like the biggest thing. Please don't hate us. But that we are normal people, just like you guys.
Normal-ish.
I'm a little bit weird.
We're awkward.
So cool.
Yeah. So this has been a really fun episode. So thank you guys for sending us your stuff. Please continue to do so. And I think that's just about it. So do you want to do the sign out?
Keep on creeping on, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.